It is time to dive back into Duel Links Russia with the brand new EXCUTIE deck. Now, this is one of the most hyped up releases in Duel Links, I think, for a while. It was a tier 0 deck in OCG. It was doing really, really well back in late 2022, early 2023, I believe it was, and it's not really done so hotly in Duel Links to start off with, right, in terms of competitive viability. On ladder, right, you'll see it, but there's some issues. So we're going to go in to the GRF, and we're just going to see how things go, right, because it's a real mixed bag, right. Sometimes you're going to get some really banger games that really show off what the deck can do, and other times you're just going to kind of struggle to deal with things like using Princess because they're all level 9s, or you've got Gradius all being level 4s, in a deck that really works to deal with level 7s and 8s. So let's see. We're against a Roman, so we're going to be Psychic on Legendary Skill, and we know they play level 7s and level 8s, so this hopefully should be fine. Now, I am going to go into my Gren Marju on turn 1. Now, it feels kind of bad to do so, because a lot of times you want to save this for your big endgame push after they've Shiny Shadied, after they've done any form of, interaction. Going for Infinite D Live, going to be sending that Prima Guitar to the graveyard, which means for next turn, you've hopefully got Fusion access. Now, was that the correct play by them? I'm not entirely sure, and for me here, I am going to go and sack off my Flower to go and get back my, oh no, okay, that's our own card activating, that's fine, right? That's fine. Get back Plorty, and then just go for that life point gain. Because we know with Psychics, right, they like to get themselves down to 1,000 life points, and then they've got, the board nuke, they've got some abilities, right, and so if we can, make sure we're, at a good life point threshold, then things looking pretty good. Right, so hopefully here, we don't die to a widespread. We don't, that's good. 2 and 3 does seem to be, okay, that's fine. Next turn, we've got, a really big play. They've milled Fusion, goes for Psychic Divergence number 2. They are returning all of my cards back. Again, we don't really mind right now, right? It's not like the end of the world. And the fun thing about the GRF, compared to ranked right now, is that you're going to find people in the GRF top ranks right now are playing some of the most random fun stuff, and I think that for a deck like EXCUTIE, you kind of want to be facing that rather than the top tier meta strategies. Now, of course, there will be some replays at the end of the video going through some of those, but overall the deck feels a bit more in tune with being a bit more fun than, Relics Meteor, being a top tier deck, right? So, going for the Ice Pop Bear. Oh, this was a ban list unhit, right? Yeah, it was, right. They did some changes on the ban list for Psychic a while ago. So this should be Candy Live. Again, we've not seen this one in Duel Links being summoned at least for a long, long time. Now, they can pay 2,000 to then debuff all my cards by 3,000, which, is going to make you be able to clear the Gren Marju, which I believe they're not going to do. They're going to go for the Prima Guitar in the graveyard, right? So, it is going to become bigger. It is going to be able to crash, which, okay, I guess that's fine. We've only just been able to beat over my my Gren Marju. We can go and play Hammer Shot and just clear the Candy Live out of the way. It is gone. Now, Scramble is pretty good if we had better cards in the graveyard, so at the moment I'm going to go Plorty, revealing Leia, and this should give me hopefully a good mill. Fingers crossed, right? Good mill, please. Lilius. Very, very good mill. Bring back out the Lilius, and we are just going to go and deal with the board we have at the moment. Right, we could go for double Lilius, which would probably be better, but we know they've dealt with 2 of their back removals, so I'm not really too bothered about it. We are just going to clear up here. 15, 18, put them down onto 1,900 points. So, again, they know we're on compulsory, because they bounced it back. So, they know when they go into a big fusion summon that it's getting bounced back. Goes for a man pick. Adds back to hand this Psychic Upper, so they are going to go for that Candy Live again, that again can debuff the board by 3,000, which, if you've got 2 big bodies, will clear my entire field and potentially put me in lethal zone. Goes for Starry Star, going to bring me out Candy and getting back Fusion. That's also really, really big. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, Starry Star was the main reason why it got hit, right? Like, this deck, right? Psychic was the main reason why Star Restart was hit. So, oh, Jampy check. Yeah, okay. I forgot they also run their own built-in back removal. Again, Candy Life coming down. This can again bring back out the the Primitive Guitar in the graveyard, which is by far the best option here, right? Getting more bodies on board, because next turn I could potentially just clear that in one fell swoop if I see Lumiere. Right, we see Lumiere, we summon her, we bring back out the Lilius, we constantly into the big fusion, we bounce it back. And then there's game on board with one more summon. I wonder if they want to lose the Silent Assailant because they might think they've got game through it, but then again, 4,000 life points is a big amount to deal with. Okay, no, they are going to go for the buff up, that's fine. Infinity Live is going to send a lot of Dark to the graveyard, sending the Amalilith. So we're going to be taking, what, not too much, right? We are getting quite low down, all the way down to 17. Not in a great spot, but if we see Lily Lumiere, then, which we did, then we're in a really, really good spot. Lumiere can then go into Plorty, we'll gain back some life points, and we'll go and shuffle back the Plorty to bounce that Prima Katana. Right, so we go, shuffle back the Plorty, and go and bounce you back. We can then summon into from our hand the Lilius, which will then go into the big Contact Fusion of our Frontier. This will then bounce back to the deck this. We can then go for Scramble. Scramble can then go and bring back out another Lilius, and from here, we could go double Lilius. Yeah, we'll go double Lilius. We could go for Frontier again, but no, we're just gonna beat the living shit out of you, right? So deal 1,000, deal 25, in for 28, doesn't even matter. On to game number 2. Good try, Roman, but it wasn't enough. And we've got a Euro. Ooh, this could be interesting. Oh, and you're playing Following Wind. Okay. Okay, this is a deck that has been performing really, really well on ladder. Right, it feels kind of like Seven's Road in that you probably won't see in tournaments, but on ladder, it's going to be everywhere. Right, and unfortunately, we've not seen a good hand. And seemingly neither is he. So this is like, again, the rough thing, like Monarchs, right, where because your deck is so focused around high level monsters, you can just brick. And, thankfully we did see, a normal summon, right? That is a good part of that. And thankfully our opponent did, also brick. But there was a battle trap there. So you have probably got, again, a widespread or negate attack or, a buffered slime, for example. One of those two is probably there. Now, this Compulse could go very, very hard if it doesn't get sniped by Hammer Crush. But of course it does. Of course it does. Like, it was obviously going to happen, right? It's Rushdall. We know that is what happens. So Air Fulminantly Eagle is again, it's a boss that does, if you book it, then their turn is like kind of struggling because you summon the boss out and then you just go and bring out one from hand, one from graveyard, and hopefully just beat the crap out of your opponent. Now, thankfully, our layers here are going to do a little bit. That's really rough. 1-for-1ing that back removal is really rough. Goes to Cyber Falcon, goes to Mecha Umbretta. Umbretta is going to add back the following world you pitched with the effective Hammer Crush. That's a really good interaction. Good shit. Then you sack off, go for the Form Eagle. You bring back out the Midwave Near from your graveyard, and probably one from your hand as well. And that's a big board of, what, a 28, and then like a 31? Only going for Sky Dragon. Is that because the graveyard is a level... Okay, the graveyard one is... Yeah, okay, that's fine. Right, that still goes for Storm Sonic, so going to be debuffing. Not sure why you would force that here when there was no real need to. Like, I guess it does put me lower, but now I know if I back removal to not use it on that back row. Right, that's a bit of a rough play there from you. So we can just like attack in with our Spectre, and this should be kind of enough. But again, we do want to see something better, right? And we've not seen super great in terms of the mills. Yeah, I think here we go and we send Spectre, right? Because then we can go this Spectre brings back out that Spectre, and again gets 2 more mills, and then we should be in a fairly decent spot from there, right? Yep. So Spectre goes and brings back out the other Spectre. Return cards back. Do I want to return cards back? Do I want to put those back in the deck? I guess, like, actually, in theory, putting back those two is fine, right? Because that's a dead card, and that's also like a dead draw. So that's probably okay. Mill 1, Mill 2, Mill 3. Milling Lilius there is fan-frickin-tastic. Now, doesn't really do much though, because again, that Falling World Field spell is a bit of a bitch to have up. So let's go Contact Fuse into our lovely Enigmatic Princess, which does put him down to 700 life through that. It is like the best kind of play we got at the moment, right? So we'll go Plotting Defense mode. That's then going to go and hopefully mill something good, but it doesn't. Flower comes down. Flower over this one. Yeah, sure. Why not? And then we'll go Flower into the Lilius, and this goes over you, right? Because we don't want to take any damage, we don't have to. So we go Combat, attack over the Airfilmer Eagle, and then we go Combat and attack into the life point directly. And now it is objective, survive the turn. They've got back removal access, right? If they go for the Subtic Alligator, if they go for any decent like level 7 summon, then like things like we don't hit the Fallen Eagle here, right? If he goes for it, it's not a great card to hit. No, it is just a then you can. So in theory, summoning, then going for the Fallen Eagle, and then summoning from hand is like actually the play you should do. So we'll see if that's what he does. Goes for Towline Cattle Healer, which is going to fusion summon. And I've not seen anyone play this one, right? So Cattle Healer more. A 31 attack point that doesn't actually deal damage and doesn't actually do anything because it's level 9. So this wouldn't work out, right? So that comes down, that's fine. The Zuzu again is fine. Like this doesn't do much of anything. We're not seeing Lumiere, which is kind of annoying. And that back row again could be kind of scary. So let's go Plorty into Flower, and we are going to put you into defense mode, right? We're gonna hopefully. Back row is nothing. There's Lumiere though. Right, I think we've actually got to play here. I think we've got to play here. So we'll go Flower into. Oh, that's rough. That's rough because we can't actually summon into Lumiere without another body. We do just go for Lilius, right? We go summon Lilius, and then we crash here, but also we go for Marjgarzet. So we do kind of have to, like 34 into this thing here actually isn't awful, right? But they do have they have a trap card, right? They got a battle trap. They reduce it by 1,000. So I think actually we have got to go here over the Lilius, and then 5,000 swing into this, and this should hopefully, fingers crossed. Right, you ever sit there and you think you've just said that no battle damage is dealt when attacking into that big fusion, right? Those words came out of your mouth, and then you do the exact same action that would cause you to lose the duel, right? To just lose the duel. Airflow Accelerator coming down. I imagine that you want to see Subtic Alligator, right? To get that pop of the Grand Marju. But I don't think you've got a way to clear Grand Marju right now, which is like our saving grace right now. Is there's no way to clear Grand Marju. You know, we messed up. It happens more often than I'd like to admit. But we know in your hand, right? You've got the Air Formula Eagle. This does not, like, this deals 500. Like, yes, this puts us quite low, which is a bit worrying. And yes, you've got 3 potential battle traps face down, which again is quite worrying. This hopefully will be a good little play. There's no sign of a shiny shady, which is obviously a good thing. And I am gonna go and just put more fucking bricks back in his deck. Right, I'm just gonna put more Sky Dragons back in. Because if you draw them, then that's like, that's crazy for for you. And then we go 1 and 2 in for Enigmatic Princess. We can go Plorty, Barreling Lumiere, and we can start to kind of dismantle this board a bit. Right, some Plorty Mills, gain back some life. We can summon Lumiere. Lumiere goes and bounces back herself into the deck and bounces back the Fuzuzu. No, the Milky Way Neo, sorry. We then go into a Set Spectre, into Lilius, and this should provide us with enough of a safety net that if we attack indirectly here, we win because the back row could have been Phantom Thief. That was my logic there, is the back row had to be Phantom Thief. Udius Velgear from the Velgirian cluster. On Light Galaxy, show me the Eternal Oblivion. Now, this is a deck where we should be in a pretty good spot until the fusion summons come down. Right, until that happens, right, we should be in a good spot. So let's go Lilius, we'll go and set the Spectre, and we'll set Capture, and we'll keep the Grand Marju in hand, right? A, to make him think we're on Shady, and B, because just summoning it's funny as hell. Sending the Oblivion, getting the fusion draw, which does give you access to an extra card, so it can get your Secret Order as well. So you're drawing, you are getting Secret Order, which in this situation is perfectly fine. Right? Let's go through, right? Like it could come down. Universal Storm, I should have then remembered that they open, yeah, it's like Seven's Road, right? You know, if any deck's opening back removal, it's like Galaxy. Silent Doom is bringing back out the the Oblivion. You're fusion summoning Eternal Galactic Oblivion on turn 1. Okay. Fair play. Right? Fair play to you for going all in. Right? And the reason why it's fair play is because this player's aware that EXCUTIE has to struggle to deal with level 9s, right? The only way you've really got is by making Lumiere Frontier, and you've already cleared 2 of the candidates for it. So, in theory, this should be really rough, and it is going to be a bit rough, which is kind of annoying. However, Grand Marju is going to be some untold levels of peak, in theory again. So we can't clear everything, right, which again is like an annoyance here. Like, we could go Lumiere goes and bounce that way. Oh, no, we can, right, because we're on 36, yeah, okay, that's fine, right, we can at least actually do this, right, so we go, Summon Spectre. It is very rough that, like, the play here is this. It's like, okay, we summon into the Spectre. Lumiere then goes and bounces back, and bounces that back, and then we have got to kind of go all-in Glass Cannon on this, right? And what this has done is it's turned off our back row, right? Capture is now no longer live. So we are literally relying on, can our opponent find a way to out Madrigalset? And I believe like Galaxy can find ways to put a guy into defense mode, right? It's not the most difficult thing in the world to do. If you had Transam Lilac here, that would have been massive, but now you've used all 3 of your Likers. So that's one way of changing battle position that you've now lost. And obviously the other way you do it, right? The other way you kill Great Madrigalset is by going for the second copy of Eternal Oblivion. Which, I mean, fair play, like fair enough, right? You're going to go for a second copy, but you're not. You're going into Fuse Eve. Is that because you've not got a second copy of Oblivion? Oh, you're stacking the grave, right? Yeah, of course, yeah, you're putting as many balls in the grave as possible to make this guy as big as possible. So, there is a chance here. There is a real chance that this becomes big enough to just kill me. I don't think it can get there. Yeah, okay, 5,000, that was about what expected. Silent Doom brings back a body, makes it so that you have got some survival for next turn, and again, puts me in a rough spot. You know, you just put me on the back corner again. In this situation, I think it is like literally, we go and wall up, right? It is a wall up vibe. There's not, right? Like, we needed to see Scramble. We saw Scramble, then we were actually gonna, we would get there, but we didn't. So, let's set Spectre. We'll summon the Flower. Flower then goes and adds to hand the Lilius. Right, yeah, it doesn't matter which we go for, because either way, right, we're specialing in defense, we're specialing in defense, and we could summon over this right here, and then, but that became what? It was like 5,000, right? So we can't risk taking that damage here. So it is going to be a tribute set situation, right? It is just all setting, no gas, and hoping that Udius decides to just like go all in on making more fusions, right? Making a bunch of fusions that can potentially deal with some of the back row is, yeah, extra Flora comes down, right? This is what we're hoping, right? We're gonna, we're gonna Book of Moon this fusion, and then we're gonna survive the turn. It just seems like you're overextending for no reason, especially when you've got 3 Secret Order in the graveyard already. But I guess like 1 is probably given with a skill. This is probably 1 more as well. So yes, you made a bigger board. Yes, you bait out some back row. Extra Plasma comes down. But we can't go into it. We can't deal with it. Right? We can't deal with it. So we can deal with a Secret Order. Right? That is something we can deal with if he has got 1 more, which he doesn't seem to do. We don't mind that one coming down, right? That's perfectly fine. 2 level 9s and level 4. Okay, right, like this is okay. So we can go Hammer Shot. Deals that with that in 1 fell swoop. That's great. Lumia here does nothing, which actually may not be the worst play in the world, right? He's going for 2 of these and then like swing and hope that that's like a good enough momentum thing to do here, right? So we then go for our lovely Enigmatic Princess. And if you shady these, then it's like, okay, sure, we're not taking any battle damage. So it's not like the end of the world. And again, there's nothing really here that I want to give max to again, right? We could put another Oblivion in the deck, but that does nothing for us except like give him a way to out some of our guys. So go back in for a second Enigmatic Princess. And then here, nothing comes down, that's fine. We'll go reveal this one, in for Plauti in defense mode, we'll make sure our trap is live. Then here comes probably the Shady, right? Do you want to give me more life? Right, you wait for like a Lumiere to come down. No, you go straight for the Shady. So you definitely book these 2 attackers here. Okay, that's fine. All 3 storms are gone. Yeah, it is just a let's go and clear this Transam Linak situation. Leave the trap card dead. Make him waste a mill 2. There's Eve. There's 1 of the bricks. There's a second Eve, so he did mill both of the bricks he put in, but he obviously has got an Oblivion. Goes for Fusion Draw, which should be his last use, right? Sends Plora. I guess, yeah, it's a once per duel thing on this. Sends Plora. Plora then goes and adds back a Fusion and a Galaxy monster. So, yeah. He just realized he can't game me. Okay. Okay, back to a Tiger. Can they redeem the other Tiger? I'm fully expecting this duel again to be you're on a 12 win streak. That's what should be happening. Right, Music Princess should be completely dominating. So I'm expecting good things from them. And we've opened a really solid board, actually, right? In terms of just, like, getting big bodies out. This is as good as you can hope for. Better would have been not seeing Scramble, right? It would have been seeing a second capture or seeing, a compulsory. But overall, not bad, right? Not bad. So obviously, again, as we said before, we do want to book the first kind of tribute we see, especially if it's going to be something like the one that is going to turn off the back row. Exact same opening play as last game, right? Horn Knives, winning the Battle Ballet. Was the exact same play our last opponent made. So, like this one, right? On top of Fighter, right? Obviously, goes and gets hit because if you go for the big fusion, then we lose buff for back row. So, we'll see what we do first of all. It's probably going to be someone Boton, right? Most people do, to try and read the Shady or read like a trap hole or something that, even though it wouldn't hit because it's low attack points. So that's completely irrelevant. Said's a monster. So that's 20. Ooh. Okay. So again, this could be like that. That could be the other one. So Triple Dish, right? Could be Triple Dish. I'm actually gonna try and see if we got a Shady here, right? Summon. It felt like there was a delay there, and because of that, I am gonna go and shuffle that back into the deck, because I do want to make sure that we potentially can see something good next turn, right? So, go set you. We'll go combat. 25 into this is going to be the Ensemble Fighter. Into this is going to be the Ensemble Fighter number 2. Okay. Okay. So, the one thing here is if they put one more body in grave, they can go for the Battle Ballet, and they can completely dodge my traps. Well, my one trap being the capture, right? They can completely dodge that. That's like the one iffy thing with this, is all they gotta do is summon a card, trip it over it, and then dodge the traps entirely. Goes and does a set again. Ooh, okay. That's the play. Yeah. Goes for the set. So it dodges, it dodges the contact, right? Or the capture, sorry. Fair enough. That's a decent little play there. Of course, you're not gonna forget. Yeah, okay. I was about to say you're not gonna forget to play the effect, right? Which obviously is gonna actually suck. And it's gonna doubly suck if they've got True Bardiche in hand. I guess it's rough for them because if they don't clear both Ulysses, then there's a high chance I do see Lumiere, and then that does send out their fusion, and then obviously also out the face down from battle. That kind of answers my question. Goes for the Plauty. Okay. In hindsight, probably actually was not the worst idea there. So now we're in a situation where, because our hand is so awful, right? There's no way for us to actually get these out and deal with them, and they run big piercing cards. Probably does look like we're in a bit of a bad spot. So I've got to set this, and I've got to set this, and I've got to waste them, right? Because yes, this is gonna, send a card, it's gonna pop. This has to happen. We have to kill this, and then hope that they've not seen anything else, but they've got the skill that can search it, right? The skill can search out the piece they need. So then they've got Trombo, which of course mills 2, draws 1, and then they can go and change the battle position of the Spectre. They can just kill through this again, they go for another big boss and then just attack into this, or they go for the Ensemble Fighter again and they just, that was a real awful hand. If they'd have, okay, and they drew the third Battle Ballet because of course they did. It did not even matter. You could have just pierced me anyway. It did not matter. This is the kind of Music Princess play I expect, right? This is the game I expect when I face Music Princess, right? Is that they can very easily overwhelm you, right? And they can put you in a situation where you feel like you can't do much. And it wasn't helped by the hand being the way it was, right? Unfortunately. But again, there's nothing we can do in that situation, right? Absolutely nothing. If they'd have, attacked one body last turn, then yeah, we could have gone for another one of our, could have got Confusion, and it would have potentially made a sliver of a difference. But given they also had the ability to go for, that's what this is what I expect, Music Princess, right? It's been the best deck for 7 months now, 8 months now, getting on. So hopefully after this GRF it gets hit, but you never know. Let's try and find one more live duel. And we're back with a Romin, who started things off in this video, now potentially ending it, both on a 3-win streak, and they're playing an Archive skill. Now I hope... Okay. I was gonna say, I hope it's Red Eyes, but it's not. It's an EXCUTIE mirror match. You don't see those often, You don't see them often. But we've got it. And so this will tell us who is the real best EXCUTIE player on the GRF right now. Surely. So hand-wise, it's like... Again, not great. Obviously, the issue is that in the mirror, there's nothing really she can target. Your main form of removal is just going to be... oh, let's see if we can find the Contact Fusion. Oh, okay, so you're on Quantum's build. You're playing Rhythmical Performer. Okay. So, legend-wise, we've got to watch out for the Abyss Soldier. Playing a bit of a water package for some monster removal. We have lost our legend, and we're going against a field that looks a lot better than ours. Right, just straight up, it's a lot better than ours. Like, this just like, it's such a non-game. Because all we're doing is, like, trading a bit. Here, obviously, we're killing the Flower. And we're trading with Lumiere. And we're going to hope that magically that's enough. Right? Like, we're just going to hope that that's enough. Now, they could be playing Ram for the back row removal, which we don't play. They could go for the Contact, which of course would be a really good target for the Compulsory. The Mirror's interesting, right? Because nothing really interacts with their cards on either side, right? So Leia is level 7 or higher, which doesn't matter. So you've only really got Lilius and like whatever supplementaries in your deck, right, to achieve your win con. So our little package of the Spectre and the Princess could potentially be the decider here. It could be the decider. Double Lilius is fine, and there's Scramble. So that is going to make the Contact live. But do you go for it? You don't here, you just swing in, right? You go 25, 25, 18. Rather than potentially walking into like, you know, Compulse. I think you just keep the board as is. Overrush Storm. Why is it always the one card? But again, it didn't matter. It didn't matter, which is, you know, fine. It doesn't do nothing. I forgot. We have Lumiere Frontier. We actually have players. We actually have players. Okay. Contact. Go and remove... yeah. It looks really awkward there. Return back you. Special Lilius. Special Leia. Set double capture. This should hopefully be enough. Right, just like straight up, right? The 3 cards in hand. So, I imagine you've got like a scramble of your own to try and do the same thing. Right? So, we can go capture their own frontier. And then that should be GG. Right? Or they go for the Abyss Soldier, which also would be a card worth doing. Or they've got like a really brick hand. Hammer Shot, though. Okay, so we're both playing the same legend spell. Okay. You're also on the Spectre package, which is interesting. Right, I guess like you do... Okay, yeah, you go... You book the Lilius, you then play the Galvanary, and you either debuff or you buff. Right, so I like... Actually, yeah, that worked out quite nicely for you. So, that's fine. Back row, I'm going to assume is a capture. So that's like one interaction. We've got good cards. Like we've got ways to kind of deal with this, right? They can only book and move one thing. So let's go Plauty. Revealing Leia. And again, I should have gone into Lumiere. Like, I forgot. Yeah, we'll happily do that. So we're both on the same Legend package. We're both on the Spectre package, but we're not on the same Legend Monster package, potentially. Right, you probably are on Abyss Soldier. Performer going to mill. I did mill a spell, so she gets to draw 1. Not great. There's Flower. Flower's getting captured. Because Flower starts to like give you some value. Right, you can go and add back a Lilius. And this might turn off a whole bunch of stuff in their hand. You got a third one. You got a Leia. Okay, we don't mind Leia. Leia's fine. We don't like Lilius. We don't like that one. You can have the Leia, you're not having Lilius. So you don't crash. Yeah, exactly. You can't crash there. Okay, so we could go Hammer Shot, turn off that back row if it is a capture. Right? Yeah, I think we do that, right? Hammer Shot, turn off the back row. Summon into Lilius. Go and make Lumiere Frontier. And like, if this is a buffered slime, then it's a buffered slime. It is what it is, right? But we're gonna go there, reveal Lumiere, get Plorty. Plorty gains some life points. Set face down. Go to combat. Swing for 15. Swing for 28. We are the EXCUTIE Master. That is going to be all the live duels done. Let's go and look at 1 or 2 replays from the JRF from King of Games, including one versus a world champion competitor. So first up we have Gradius piloted by Giorfio. This is of course one of the better OCG exclusive decks to come out to Rush Duel Links. It's basically the only one aside from EXCUTIE. And so this was a bit of a weird matchup going in, right? Because we were dependent on Pod Agree to actually find a playable hand. But also, in terms of the matchup, they have a bit of a built-in way around EXCUTIEs because they're all level 4s, and so your Lumiere does nothing. Which means your main form of removal is going to be your Lumiere Frontier. So this, I believe, was when I was playing Polygreed and Widespread, not playing Compulsory and Hammer Shot. So in the situation where we're playing the new build, we would have bricked hard and probably lost on turn 1. Unfortunately, that probably would have happened. But this duel is going to show that you do a lot of controlling the board with your back row, right? We're going to go for the Riding, bring it back out, the Plorty, buffing down Ripple Laser, and so now he can't really deal with the big part of my board. And now I've got a free open lane to fully clear their board entirely, right? We're going to go for our Plorty, gain some life points milling, setting our back row, summoning to our Leia, dealing a little bit of damage. Not a lot, but a good amount, right? Goes for Capsule Red, which hopefully is going to find one thing. Goes for Spread Bomb. Spread Bomb, of course, trades for a back row, so it is a natural hit for the capture. Goes for Lord British, which, of course, is a much better target. Going to be contacting again into the level 4 Ripple Laser, which does mean 2 debuffs coming down. Now, this ain't the end of the world. Widespread here does clear and help us survive. And now we've got, again, a runway to doing a lot of damage, right? In for Lumiere, in for Lumiere Frontier. In for... I just spoiled the card early. Okay, sure. In for Lumiere Frontier, which of course is going to remove the Gradius from the field, and mean we do get a huge amount of damage in, right? 50... 200, I believe. 53. Down to 100. Plays the capture. He can't do much of anything. But also we can't either. Right, we're also in a bit of a spot where we can't summon anything, and we're just reliant on him messing up in some way, shape or form. So goes for the Power Capsule, adds in the multiple. This turn was pretty big. Right, in the grand scheme of things, this was pretty big. Goes for multiple. Contacts into the big full Vic Viper custom, which of course is 32. Goes for Power Meter. Trades away. Adds back option. Summons into double option for a big 3200 attack point board. Luckily, buffered slime means we don't take any damage, and double luckily, we draw into the Spectre of Heaven's Beginning. So whilst, yes, this Contact Fusion is a bit not needed, right? It was a bit to be like, okay, I can somewhat deal with your board, right? Shuffle it away, but it doesn't matter, right? We've got the Spectre, we go for the Contact Fusion, and we're going to win off the mini-engine of the Heavenly Princess, right? First Giorfio, good game, sir. On to the next replay. And so I think we'll include one replay where I believe we lost. I believe this was versus Red Eyes Meteor. So definitely one of the best decks to form right now, alongside User Princess, alongside Aqua. They're all kind of up there. And this duel was being included because it was a very, very good duel, I think. Like, in terms of just, like, the back and forward, the interaction, and how the game ended, right? I think it was pretty good. So, opening turn-wise, he sets the Meteor Dragon, which again we saw, I think, in the actual gameplay that was kind of a dealt out with, goes for Meteor Flare Fusion, which on summon can pop a back row, or can pop a monster. So goes for the fusion, pops the back row, hits the capture, which of course is really big because in this deck, capture does work against Meteor Black Dragon. So if he hit something else, we could have booked it and then somewhat survived the turn. But no, going for the Lumiere and going for the face down. So that's fine, right? Because Lilius by itself doesn't do much. Shady comes down and books the Lumiere. Does mean we can trade, does mean we can clear their border legend spell. So we are in a bit of a even situation. Goes for Rocket Medic. Now, I probably should have played the capture here on the Medic. This was before I was fully aware of like this card being a really integral choke point for Red Ice Meteor. Like if you're going to hit a card that's normal summon, it's probably this over say Meteor Dragon, right? Because Meteor Dragon can whiff, but this is always going to be a guaranteed retrieval of something important, right? And here, it was something important, it was the Meteor Dragon. So, we'll see. They couldn't do much else, so if they didn't do it, then their turn would have been over, potentially. So that was a bit of a misplay there. Goes for the Lumiere Frontier. Or just Lumiere, sorry. Spins back, their big fusion. Going to make another copy of the Contact Fusion. Our enigmatic print. No, we're not. We're not. I misremembered. We're not. We're going for the flow. We're going for the Lumiere because we are going all the way to make Frontier. Frontier going to bounce back that rocket back to the deck. And hit with the Meteorite Fall, resend the Flare Fusion. That little bit of damage. That attack order there cost me the duel, I believe. I believe when it comes down to it, there's a very low amount of life points in it, and that would have been the difference between winning and losing. Goes for the skill. Adds back the fusion, plays Meteor Flare Fusion. Once again, making the Meteor Dragon. That is the one downside of shuffling back the Meteor Flare Dragon to deal with it, is that because they can add the fusion spell back every single turn, or thereof with the skill, with the Rocket Warrior, they can very easily bring it back out, pop a card, and get that value back. So, wasn't a great showing here, but again, summoning two big fusions, Meteor Storm Dragon as well, on the same turn, attacks 1, attacks for 2, and clears the entire board. Not looking too good for us. But we've got Scramble, we can go. And some to Plorty. Plorty can gain some life. We can play the Lumiere to go and bounce back 1 back to the hand. We can go for this into the EXCUTIE Lumiere Frontier, which is going to go and bounce back that Meteor Swarm Dragon. Summon into this, summon into the Scramble. Wide spread ruin does us in. And look at those life. 400 life. That would have probably been enough if we hadn't fell victim to the Meteorite Fall trap card. Despite everything else happening in the duel, it was that trap card and that attack order that really, really messed things up. And so, of course, here, right, we're gonna get probably boned, right? Here comes Meteor Swarm Dragon. You think, okay, what's he doing, right? He's going for Swarm Dragon. His deck's getting really, really thin. He's probably seen everything under the sun he could see. There's Medic. Medic adding back the Meteor Flare Fusion. Has he got enough? Meteor Flare Fusion, of course. One final card in hand. What card in hand could possibly win him the game on this very spot? Curse of the Rising Light. But overall, that was a really, really fun game, right? Despite losing it, that was actually a really fun back and forward. So, there were some misplays, but also was a really fun duel. So this is a list we're running, of course. It is fairly straightforward, right? We're playing 3 of all the good ones. We're playing 3 Lumiere. We're playing 3 Flow. We're playing 3 copies of Leia and 3 copies of Plorty alongside the Scramble and the Capture. Now, as I said throughout the video, right, the metagame right now is not really that great for EXCUTIE. You've got a lot of decks that aren't playing level 7, level 8s. You have got decks like Bubble Actress, which are level 7, level 8s, right? That's good, but also the fact they've got a field spell that buffs them up means that even if you could deal with, one of their guys, right, your Lilius sometimes can't deal with the rest of them, right? So, like, there's some situations where things don't really work out. You've also got, again, Meteor Dragon, that when it's summoned with the effect of the spell card, pops a back row. If you're on a bit of a back foot and you've got one body on the field, they pop the body, and then all your back row, assuming it's captures, is going to be dead. So there is some bit of reliance there. Hopefully we get a buff to the skill right? I think that, unlike Gradius, the deck does need some help. The metagame is drastically different from how things were back when this released in OCG. You know, we've got way fast decks, way more fusion decks, right? And also there's, you know, skills like Dimensional Linker, which does just cheat out 3 balls on the board for free. And that turns off all your back row and means that all of your options beyond, like, Buffered Slime are basically useless. So, yeah, like, it's a rough time, but as you've seen, we can win some games, we can have some really good duels, and sometimes you are going to break, and it's just going to not feel great. But overall, I really enjoy the deck, despite its somewhat lackluster performance, but overall, again, it's all about having fun. So, that's all. Thanks for watching. Adios.